Hey collective, Jeff here. It's been 3 weeks since I posted my last video. This channel is fairly new. There's 3 videos out there posted. I believe there might even be 2 shorts that I put out there. But again, it's been 3 weeks, and I apologize for the little bit of the delay. But I'm on my own spiritual path, and it's really important that when I deliver messages to you, not only are they channeled to me from the divine, like, I get kind of like the kick, the push to deliver them, but I also have to be in a good emotional and spiritual space, so I'm delivering you sound messages that are truly from my heart, and they're heartfelt, and there is nothing but positive intent behind them. And not to say that there wouldn't be positive intent behind them otherwise, but I'm in alignment right now. So I call it like flying high. And if you listen to Abraham Hicks, which I would suggest maybe you do, I'm on my high flying disc, right? So I am pulling from source. I'm pulling information from source as I speak. So this is truly advice from my heart. So that's why I do it. So I promised you in a previous video that I would share one of my most powerful spiritual practices that has been most effective for me. This is something that I've been doing since September of 2020. I started on the 19th of September 2020 on the new moon, because I do it every new moon. And it was the new moon prior to my mom passing from COVID. She passed on September 27th. And I started that month specifically because I was, pre-grieving, because my mom had emphysema and COPD, and we couldn't go visit her in the hospital, so she was isolated, and I wasn't able to see her. I was in a really bad place, as you can, imagine, and we were only able to communicate with her over an iPad, which was not very effective since she was so medicated, and staff was so overwhelmed, they really couldn't help facilitate the communication. It was a very tumultuous time for me, so I really did turn to my spirituality, and the divine, God. I call it God, source, divine, and you can call it whatever you want, whatever you're most comfortable with. But I've been doing this specific practice, and the one I'm going to share with you today, since that point. Every 28 days is a new moon. Each new moon is in a different sign, and it carries a different meaning to it, right? So each new moon gives us an opportunity, a fresh start, but it's usually attached to specific things that we need to bring anew, right? It gives us an opportunity to start a new cycle with a new mindset. And it's 555 as I'm recording this, PM. So the 555 is, I get a lot of synchronicities, number synchronicities from the divine. 555 just means that change is about, and it is, especially with this new moon. Not only that, but there's also a solar eclipse that is in conjunction today with the new moon. So that's very powerful. It actually amplifies our ability to put into effect our intentions. It gives it it gives it more oomph. So I highly encourage you to take advantage of this particular new moon, which I'm going to explain really what your intentions should be most likely geared towards. Of course, these are just guidelines. You can do it however you want, but this is just the meaning behind the Libra full moon specifically, and then the impact of this specific solar eclipse on that. Now, the solar eclipse started this morning prior to the peak of the new moon, which is at 1:55 Eastern Standard Time. It started in the morning, and then it went through the afternoon, so they overlapped. So there was a lot of power in the air today. So if you felt off, if you felt a lot of just interference, if you felt like your mood was off and you really couldn't make sense of it, that might really be why. So don't question yourself around that. I did write out my intentions earlier, but my mood personally was off, which is why I didn't record this a little bit earlier in the day, because I wanted to do it actually at 1:55 to be more impactful, right? But I didn't do that because my mood I was not in alignment. And I tried meditating. I actually meditated for like 2 hours, and sometimes you can over meditate, like you can over medicate, right? And it just wasn't working. So I prayed a little bit, and I took a look at what I had already written for my intentions, and I don't like them. I just plain old don't like them. So, even in my spot, as long as I've been doing them, I can be objective and look at what I've done and not be pleased with it. So I will be revisiting my intentions probably after I do this video, because a lot of the times what happens when I'm doing these videos and I am flying high, right, and I am pulling from divine knowledge, if I go back and look at the video, it's literally advice to myself as well, and I take it as that. And if you hear other channelers, if you listen to other channelers, most likely they've said something similar, like, I gotta watch this video back, and it might be for me, or if they have watched the video back, it was advice for themselves. So I know that this video will be advice for myself because I didn't like what I wrote. But I was guided to do this video anyway, mostly because I was going to get the advice through giving it to you as well. So, hey, so be it. That's how it works. As a healer teacher, I have to be open to different ways of learning myself. And that's just how it goes, right? This is not a journey with a blueprint or a roadmap. It's certainly not an easy path to the healing journey is not an easy path. So if it's one that you've chosen for yourself, this channel is all about self-healing and self-love. And that's really, through self-love is how we heal ourselves. It's through the appreciation of ourselves and the caring about how we truly feel, rather than, accommodating others outside of us and trying to fix things outside of us. We need to fix ourselves first before we are of any assistance to anything outside of ourselves. So know that. And it's not selfish to do that. It's just fact. So, I encourage all of us to look inward so we don't project our trauma, because we all have trauma. And if you live, right, if you're alive, every day you wake up, you're experiencing trauma in some way, shape, or form, minor, major, maybe somewhere in between. It doesn't matter. If you're alive, you're consistently experiencing some level of trauma, some level of dissatisfaction, some level of what I call contrast, things that we don't like about our days, things that we see that are just not in line with what we want to see, like maybe homeless people, right? Things that make us feel uncomfortable. We're always going to see contrast. So if you're alive, there's always healing to be done. So nobody's fully healed, and nobody's ever going to be fully healed as long as you're on this earth. So I congratulate anybody who's on their healing journey. It's not easy. So be proud of yourself if this is something that you're seeking out. But this is, writing intentions is one of the most powerful tools that I have personally come across. And again, I've been doing this since 2020, and I started it because I was really in a dark place, and it truly did help transform me. And as the reason why I write out my intentions is it reads kind of like a novel, because it's told my story over the past 3 years, quite literally. You wouldn't believe how powerful writing out my intentions has been, and to go back and look at what my intentions have laid out, what I've laid out in my intentions, how much of it has actually come to fruition. Just by me writing this out, having it in my head, right, having thought it through, I have, unintentionally, subconsciously followed through on much of it, the majority of it, because I have given it enough thought that, when I'm faced with decisions about people, places, and things, I have made decisions about those people, places, and things that are in line with my written intentions, because I put the thought into it. Now, had I not put the thought into it every 28 days, I wouldn't have anything concrete or solidified. It's not like when I have to make a decision, I go back and look at them. No. It's already there. I've written it. I've put the time and effort into writing out my intentions. So it's already in my head. So you start to make decisions that are in line with your intentions naturally. So very, very powerful tool, spiritual tool. And you can do it however you want. What I'm doing today, what I'm going to do is tell you like what the new moon in Libra is intended to help us work through, because every new moon is attached to a different zodiac sign, as is every full moon. So for instance, the full moon on the 29th of October is it's in Taurus, so which is a sister sign to Scorpio. which I'm a Scorpio sun sign. So in any case, usually that the Taurus full moon would be about money and possessions, so abundance, like physical abundance, because that's what the Taurus sign generally is about. However, this particular full moon at the end of the month, which I'll talk about when we get there, is more about values, what truly holds value, because it is changing as we are evolving as humans and as spiritual beings. So I'll talk more about that a little bit later, but I want to focus on the new moon here. But first, this is a new channel for me, so there's 3 videos posted. The first one was just an introduction as to who I am and why I'm here. If you feel so inclined to watch that, I encourage you to do so. I am an earth angel. I am anointed. I am dedicated to the divine. This is my job. My job is to channel messages as necessary for the divine. I have many other purposes as well. It's not exclusively to YouTube. And I do want to say that, you know, if you want to sew into the channel, this is my job, so I would appreciate it with whatever you can do. Whatever you can't do is fine too. I understand, because I don't have anything to give myself. So you know, I get a lot of free advice, but I also press the like button and subscribe to those channels that I look to for advice. So if you could do the same, I would truly appreciate it. If you can sew into the channel, I would really truly appreciate that as well. However, God's advice is always free, as is mine. And if nobody's told you that they love you today or at all, I love you. I may not know you. It doesn't really matter. I love you unconditionally. There are no conditions on my love. So you are always welcome to come here for advice. And I freely put my email address out there. If you have questions, I'd love to hear them. I leave the comments open. If you have comments, please leave them. I would love to respond to them to the best of my ability. In any case, you know, I offer services as well. I don't have any set prices, but I would come up with prices based on your specific situation and your ability to pay. Again, I understand. Let's put it that way. I'm here to help. I'm not here for profit. I just need to live, right? We all need to live. So anyway, I just want to get that out of the way. That's really not the important part. What I did want to talk about is there's 3 videos out there. The first one's an introduction about who I am, me being an earth angel, how I was called into this, a little bit about my journey, how it started, how tumultuous it kind of, how it's been, and kind of where I am in my journey. So it's, to me, it's interesting. If it's, it doesn't interest you, don't obviously you don't have to watch it. But then I start numbering them after that. So I have the first one is one, it's God Source Wants to Hear From You. And it's literally a video about, and this one was channeled very specifically to me from the divine as being step 1. Like, the divine wants everybody to have their own direct channel to it. And I call it it because it's more of an energy source than anything. It's not a him, it's not a her per se. I call it the divine, and I refer to the divine as a him a lot. So take it or leave it. Just don't take any offense to it, because it's just words, right? So it's just the way that we, or I, identify and speak to source, right? So I just have a very personal relationship with source, and I speak to it in a very personal way. So you'll hear that come out, and however you want to treat that relationship with source, the divine or God, is totally up to you. I don't judge. I look at everything with understanding, not with judgment. So that is up to each and every individual to decide for themselves. What I do talk about in that video is how I personally communicate, how I choose to communicate most effectively with the divine. I'm a scribe, so I do a lot of writing. So I write a lot of my questions out to the divine, and I find, just as I do with my intentions, that a lot of it's answered. So I'll write my questions out, or I'll write down what I'm struggling with in the morning. That's when I write to the divine, and usually by the end of the day or by the next day, I've gotten an answer. It may be in a very inadvertent way, a roundabout way, in a way I didn't expect. Sometimes it's very direct. Sometimes I get an immediate answer. I get answers through synchronicities and numbers, through signs, like literally through signs on cars and buildings. on license plates, on people's t-shirts, through music, a lot of music. I get channeled messages from. But what I do say in that video is, the divine will communicate with you in any way that is most conducive to you understanding the message. So, we all have different ways of taking information in, or things that we're more receptive to, things that will catch our attention more than other things. So the divine will know, divine or source knows this better than we know ourselves. So if you are open to getting the messages in the way that is most conducive to you, and you're accepting of the responses that you're getting, even if it's not the response that you want to get. Now keep that in mind. Like, we get answers and they're not always desirable, right? Like, if you ask a question, sometimes it's not the answer you want, but you still have to be open to it. You can't you can't just take the messages that you are okay with, right? Like, if you ask for guidance, you have to be open to it, and you have to take the good with the bad, but it's all meant to help us and help us along our spiritual journey. So that's the first video. The second video is, are you emotionally in alignment? And that's a video where I talk about conditions like depression, anxiety, anger, body dysmorphia, a lot of things that we tend to medicate ourselves for or go seek therapy for. And what I say in that video, and I'm not a doctor, but I am a spiritual healer, leader, teacher. There is an underlying spiritual cause or fix, really, that underlies all of those conditions, and it has a lot to do with the fact that we are not in line with the way that Source sees us, right? So it's literally a gap between how we view ourselves and how we are viewed by Source, because Source has created us. Source sees us as perfect, beautiful beings. Ooh, bless me. Shouldn't hold sneezes in, but so I'm not gross. I had to. But Source has created us to be perfect in its eyes, his eyes, however you want to respond to it. And when we don't feel that way about ourselves, it creates a gap, and therefore a negative emotion, and it manifests in depression and anxiety and anger and all sorts of different things. And if that goes on long enough, it can then morph into physicalities, like physical issues like cancer or high blood pressure or COPD or heart disease, whatever it might be. And a lot of these things we kind of write off as being genetic or hereditary in our families, and we need to think about that a little bit differently as well, because yes, it may run in our family, but if you think about it, we have only observed our parents and how they deal with emotional dis-ease, right? Or different issues, and they have only seen their parents deal with emotional dis-ease or issues, and so on and so forth. So yes, it is hereditary, and it does manifest in similar ways over the generations. But is it really in our genetics, in how it manifests, or is it in the way we deal with emotional discord and being out of alignment with our higher spiritual self? So I talk about that, and I'm not saying don't take medication. What I'm saying is, I'm not immune to this. I was diagnosed as being bipolar type 2. I have had multiple addictions. I am not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, which is why I feel qualified to speak to this. But I have been on all types of medication, and all I was trying to do was make these symptoms go away, but they weren't going away. These medications did not make me feel better. In my opinion, it just made me dependent on yet something else, but the underlying issue was never fixed. I never fixed it. And I'm also somebody who went to therapy on a very regular basis, religiously, for years, for decades. And talk therapy can be helpful, but at the end of the day, a good therapist should be listening to you, with very, and with good intent and skillful ears. But really, at the end of the day, they should be turning the topic around and asking you how it makes you feel, how you feel about that. And really, we have to, we control the way we react to everything outside of us. Only we can control the way we react to outside stimulus. So we can blame everything and everybody outside of us, but at the end of the day, we're in control of how we choose to react to everything outside of us. So I talk about that as well. And that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people, but it is the truth. And if you give that one a listen, it might make sense to you. And if you truly are on your spiritual path, it will be helpful. So I highly encourage you to go take a look at those 2 videos. So this third video, it's going to be number 3, so you can follow along, is writing intentions. And again, this is the most powerful spiritual practice that I've taken on, which is why I wanted to share it. And I haven't been on for 3 weeks, and I don't feel particularly good today. I do believe, based on my last video about being in disease, are you in emotional alignment? I am a bit out of emotional alignment. From the sense that I'm not, because of personal trauma that I've dealt with, I've experienced specifically in the relationship arena, I am a bit apprehensive about believing my intuition, right? So, and my intuition's telling me something's not as bad as my imagination is making it out to be. So therefore, I'm very defensive and very apprehensive about opening myself up to something that potentially I do believe can be very beneficial to me. So I'm working through that, and I think as a result, I have like some cold symptoms. I think it's as simple as that. So, I've got my Halls relief. I don't really believe in medication, so I'm not taking them. I was sneezing earlier, so please excuse my sniffles and kind of like my congestion, but whatever, life goes on. Like, we just have to get done what we have to get done. And I was very much encouraged to put this video out from the divine, again, because intentions are very powerful, and that it's something that lifted me out of a really dark place. So I do believe that whenever you start these, they will start to change your life. So anyway, I do believe that you can start your intentions. You can write your intentions 2 days, anywhere from 2 days beforehand, the new moon, to 2 days afterwards. That's really the peak of when the new moon is most effective, right? And the new moon signifies a new cycle starting and is attached to whatever zodiac sign it's within, whereas the full moon is attached to the sister sign. So the full moon coming up at the end of this month, which is actually Scorpio season, is actually going to be, it's in Taurus, which is Scorpio's sister sign. So it's actually the full moon is the opposite sign. So moon cycles are every 6 months, just to let you know. But in any case, that's just to give you a little background. But the new moon in Libra, I'm going to read this, is to prioritize yourself and recognize where you are giving too much of your energy and resources and not receiving the same in return. What do you need from others to feel supported, celebrated, and held in your journey? So I wrote my intentions out earlier, and I was going to share some of them, and I read through them a couple of hours ago, and I didn't like them. I just didn't like them. They were very defensive, and I did not catch the essence of what I just read to you. Like, I've been doing this for a long time, and I did not catch the essence of the purpose that I wrote this out before I did my intentions, and I still missed the whole point. So I'm going back after I do this video. I'm going to watch this video, take my own advice, and I'm going to rewrite my intentions. I'm going to read this again. As you're writing out your intentions, and this doesn't have to be any more than a 15, 20, maybe 30-minute exercise. If you want to put more time into it, more power to you. However more detail you want to put into it, the more weight it can carry. I like to keep mine a little bit more generalized because I don't like to direct the universe and how to deliver these things to me. I like to keep them a little bit more general and be surprised by the way things kind of unfurl, right? So it's really up to you. You can do them however you want. There's no set rules in how you write intentions, but these are just general. These are just general guidelines for you. But the definition of intentions are, a thing intended, an aim or plan. That's like the general definition of it. But the medicine definition of it is the one that is meaningful to me, which is the healing process. The healing process of the word. So that's more in line with really what my intentions are. So in any case, the solar eclipse that also occurred today amplifies the effectiveness of our intentions, of writing out our intentions. So it's a very unique opportunity. It's actually a great time to start your intentions, because it's going to jumpstart like how you see them coming into fruition. And the reason why I write them out every month is so I can go back and read them like a novella, because you see how much of it's come to fruition and how magical it truly is. So that's why I encourage you to write them out. And what I do each month is I go back and I read the previous month to see what's come of the intentions that I've written from the previous month. And I'm always amazed at how much has really come to fruition. It's truly a beautiful thing. And when you go back months and months and months and months, you see that. I mean, I would honestly have to say about 80 to 90% of it has come to fruition. What has not come to fruition has been when I have been in the dark about something, or a person, a place, or a thing, and what I wrote was a misconception on my part, and it was not in line with my higher good. So it did not come to fruition, meaning that person, place, or thing didn't meant me harm. Does that make any sense? Where at the time I wasn't aware of that. So I might have wished something to happen in conjunction with a person, place, or thing, and it didn't come to fruition because I later came to find out that that person, place, or thing meant me harm, or did cause me harm. So understand that too. So you'll see that as well, that the universe does actually take care of us. The divine takes care of us. Source takes care of us. So that's beautiful too. So even what doesn't come to fruition is still eye-opening and beautiful in its own way. So the solar eclipse brings us motivation and inspiration to change the dynamics of our relationships and reevaluate and access our partnerships. How do we want to show up in relationships? Partners who can walk with us, yet able to walk their own path. So this speaks to wanting to 234 is the mileage on my car right now. I have an electric car, so 234. That means I'm on the right path. So I'm doing this in a flow that the divine likes. That's how I take it. I know it's just numbers in a car, but I do. That's how I get my messages and synchronicity. So I take it very, very seriously. So what this speaks to is codependent relationships. Like, how do we want to show up in relationships? Do we want to be able to stand on our own, right? We want to be able to walk our own path, and hold our own vibration of happiness and fulfillment. And we all crave relationships, and there's nothing wrong with having a relationship. We just want to make sure that we're equally yoked with someone. So when you're together, you complement each other, but you're also able, and you know when to step away from each other to be most effective or more effective, right? Or if somebody's craving too much attention when they're in a down mood and they're trying to pull you down along with them. You know what I mean? You need to know when to step away, right? And when to let somebody stand on their own 2 feet. And we all should be equally yoked, and we should all know when to step away, and we should all be able to stand on our own. So how do we want to show up in this life? So as you're writing your intentions, keep that in mind. And first and foremost, write your intentions with, first in mind, love for yourself. So self-love, write them with you first and foremost in your mind, you being the benefactor of your intentions. So don't give away all your power. Don't say you want to help this person and help that person. We need to help ourselves first. We need to heal ourselves first. So love for self needs to be first and foremost in your mind as you're writing your intentions. So just make sure you do that. And if you're not, and that's why I'm going back to rewrite mine. I did not, again, I've been doing this for a long time. Nobody's perfect. I'm admitting that, but I didn't I was defensive, and I literally gave my power away in my intentions, and I'm not doing that. I'm going to revamp all of it. I love to be about love, light, and healing, but I don't want to only be about love, light, and healing. I want to be about healing myself so I can be of service to others, and that's very important. It's important specifically for me, but it's important for all of us. Secondly, love for life. We are put on this earth literally to enjoy life, to be joyous, to be happy. Nobody tells us that, and nobody encourages us to do that. No, we're put into schools, into structures that put us into predetermined roles and jobs, and oh, okay, you want to be a physician when you grow up. You want to be a lawyer when you grow up. You want to be, this when you grow up. It's not how it's meant to be. We're all supposed to explore what it is that is our life purpose. And what our life purpose is basically, it's a function in society, basically, that we are naturally attuned to, something that we enjoy as an individual. Like we all, you know how like some people really like numbers. Some people really like computers and coding and things like that. I don't have patience for any of that. I like to be outdoors, and like I like to hike. I like to help people. I like to talk. I'm literally built to be a healer, a teacher. That's what my calling is. Not everybody is called to do what I'm called to do, but we're all called to do something specific in this world, and we need to keep that in mind. That's really what we're here to discover, is what makes us truly happy. So remember, as you're writing your intentions, keep in mind that we're here, we're put here to love life. First, love ourselves, right? Once we master that, we have to figure out what we love in life and what makes us love life. Like what our life purpose is. We want to fall in line with what our life purpose is. And then we want to, third, look at our relationship through the lens of love, through self-love. And we need to be able to judge the people that we're in relationships with, similar to the way that we see ourselves in relationships. And, are these people healed? Are they looking at themselves in a loving way? Do they love themselves? Because we want to be with people who love themselves, who are healed themselves. And we're not here to save others, right? And sometimes it's easier for us to stand alone for a period of time so we can get our bearings, so we can be the best version of ourselves, so we can then connect with somebody who is in line with our, with us, and who's going to help us grow and excel, and, somebody who we can rely on but not lean on, right? There's a difference. And vice versa. So, we need to love ourselves enough to realize that we are worth a certain caliber of relationship. So keep that in mind as you write your intentions as well. If a relationship or a person is causing you any doubt about yourself, it's an indication that you might need some separation time. And it's okay to walk away from a relationship temporarily. There is, respect yourself enough to be able to walk away from a relationship, a friendship, any kind of relationship that doesn't make you feel good. It doesn't mean you have to do it in a disrespectful way. It means that you can do it in the most respectful of ways. And you don't have to have a full-blown conversation about it. You can just, have a very simple conversation and walk away like an adult. That's part of being on your spiritual path, is being able to tell the truth, be a truth teller. The veil between consciousness and subconsciousness is very thin right now, causing our shadows to be very apparent. And you may be very easily triggered at this time, which is why I said if your mood was off earlier today, as mine was, understand that that's completely normal. This is an opportunity to process our emotions that haven't received proper attention. So if you're feeling really like agitated, angry, something that is nagging at you, sometimes it's best to walk away from a situation rather than trying to get the attention of somebody and trying to get somebody else to fix it and nagging at them or wanting them to respond in a certain way. Sometimes it's best just to walk away, write down what you're feeling, and assess it, look at it, and take ownership over it. Don't project it onto somebody else, because that's your trauma. That's your trauma. It's your emotion. And you can blame it on somebody else. But as I said earlier, only we control how we react to external stimulus or even attacks. And I'm not saying that the people who do things to us are in the right. However, we still have control over how we react to it. We don't have to react to it at all. We don't. We can walk away from it and say, no, I'm not taking that. It's not mine. That's not my trauma, right? Because people hurt. This is a saying that's used a lot, but it's 100% true. Hurt people, because they want company. Misery loves company. That's another way to say it. It's true. Keep it in mind. Again, the eclipse magnifies the power of our intentions. And this is another piece of advice. I know you might not have written your intentions back during the solar eclipse in Aries back on April 19th, or the lunar eclipse in Scorpio on May 5th. But if you can think back to April 19th or May 5th, that time frame and where you were during those eclipses, it will be very beneficial to writing these specific intentions as well. For me, when I look back at that time, I was in a very vulnerable state, and I was not over being codependent, meaning I was looking to external relationships and people to give me comfort, make me feel safe, make me feel like I was on the right path, give me validation. So I was still very much in that mindset. So it was very telling about where I was from a spiritual standpoint. I was not anywhere near where I am today, and I was not healing. I still had a lot of healing I needed to do. I was actually clawing at people, like, please love me, give me attention, please care about me, please have interest in me, please fix me, right? So if you can think back to that time frame and where you were, I don't know, give it some thought, maybe jot it down as you go and write your intentions. And the way I write my intentions is I come up with general major categories, and then I do bullets underneath it. And I do them in order of importance to me. So the first one for me is to delve into my life purpose. So really what I'm meant to do here is, as a teacher, guide, healer, in my devotion to the divine. And then I do sub bullets under that, which are specific intentions. So things that I want to do in order to stay in line with that to the best of my ability. Oh, I did mean to say, I think I mentioned this, but I do a summation of what's happened between the last set of intentions and this set. As I write this set of intentions, it's a good read when you go back and look at your previous intentions, just to see how much has actually happened in the 28 days. It's just a nice reminder, because you do forget. Time goes by so quickly, and you'd be surprised at how much you'll forget. So that's why I write that, just kind of like a summation of just what's occurred in those 28 days. Like if somebody passed away, if I've had like a major breakthrough or realization, if I stopped talking to somebody, so on and so forth. Just things like that. Another category that I have is self-focus on my passions and what truly makes me happy. My visions for the future. What does that include? Bringing out my creativity and ability to manifest with the power of my mind, because my mind and all of our minds are very powerful, and the power of visualization and manifestation is real. So that was another category that I did, and then I did intentions based on that. And then my other category is like societal relationships. I've been in hermit mode for so long, and how do I handle, getting out of hermit mode? And I wrote some intentions out on that. Again, I'm going to rewrite that because I'm not really satisfied with it. But I'm going to cut this video here because it's getting pretty dark out, and I'm in a park, and I'm pretty sure they close at sunset. So before a cop pulls up on me, I'm going to head out. But again, if you're able to sew into the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. Again, my advice is free. The advice of God is always free, but it would be appreciated. Again, comments are always appreciated as well. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you have any questions, want to email me. If you want to request services, I also do tarot, If you're interested in that, I do oracle cards. I also channel messages, and I do talk therapy as well. But I'm very flexible in what services I'm able to offer and do offer. So just reach out. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And I look forward to hearing back from you. And it won't be another 3 weeks before my next video. But in the meantime, again, I do love you. I pray for love, light, and healing and hope for each and every one of you. You know, healing, again, is not an easy task. So I congratulate you for, you know, the willingness to look inward and heal yourself. So we're not projecting upon each other and causing more trauma, right? Because it's just a cyclical thing that we tend to do. I pray that we all find peace in our hearts and minds to make decisions, sound decisions about people, places, and things that are in line with our highest good, and will progress us along our spiritual path. You know, I pray this in the name of Jesus Christ. I bless you all, and until the next video, take care, guys.